We are back for another edition of the Fight HQ podcast. Make sure I say the right podcast name. Okay. Sometimes that can kind of happen, Pete. Just say, how you doing, Pete?
What's up, bro? How are you? Nice to see you as always. And, we have another card and, some interesting fights, but, definitely not the same as the last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you go Marab, what he was able to do out there last weekend with the 20 takedowns. Alex Bahia, which we talked about on the show last week of, the first fight, both guys were kind of tentative. Would one fighter come out super aggressive? And I don't know if anyone in our community saw this, but if you see the video of Izzy watching the fight, Izzy calls it immediately. He goes, oh, he's done.
Yeah, he goes, he's on. Because you could just tell right out the gate that, Pereira was super aggressive. Closed the distance and just started throwing immediately. And that's the one thing that we don't know from fight card to fight card is were fighters hampered in their previous bouts? Did they have real injuries? Did they have real illnesses? Are they 100%? Did they have a bad weight cut? I mean, so many intangibles. We try our best, but we're not mind readers and we don't really know the ins and outs of the camps, and they try to keep a lot of things hush hush. But yeah, I mean, Pereira did say that he didn't feel good last time, and it sure seemed like he felt a lot better last weekend.
I will tell you this. I think the UFC might have a little bit of an issue with the broadcasting.
Well, yeah.
Daniel Cormier coming out and admitting that he saw this video of the rib injury. I don't know if he saw it before the fight or after the fight, but if he saw it before the fight, UFC may have a little bit of an issue. I'm just saying, I'm not saying DC did anything wrong, but he also said, he goes, I don't think a healthy Mama Ankalaev was going to beat Alex on that night. But it's just, I thought it was a very interesting comment from DC talking about that. You talk about weigh-ins. Well, we had a fighter miss weight by 8 pounds, Pete. I mean, I've seen that on the regional scene. At the UFC level, this is something you don't see. Saimon Oliveira missing weight by 8 pounds and is come out, Guilherme Cruz of MMAfighting.com, saying while there was not an official statement from the UFC, what he is being told is that it is a 50% fine for Oliveira, and he can't weigh more than 155 pounds. Just to note, he weighed in 144 pounds for a bantamweight fight.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, this is very, very tricky for DFS, right? I was picking against Saimon Oliveira to begin with. You know that Saimon Oliveira is not the best fighter. He's looking for a weight advantage, clearly, strategic or lazy or whatever. He knows that Luan Lacerda is going to try to take him down. You're going to strike him enough, try to take him down, and try to submit him. So he's looking for a weight advantage. The issue is that I could totally see this fight getting canceled day of. We see this all the time, right? We don't know what Saimon Oliveira is really going to weigh in at come fight day. I would imagine that he's going to be north of 155, I have to tell you. The good thing, though, Jason, is unlike other fights where they're in the middle or the end of the card, this is the first fight of the night. So this is an approach where I like Lacerda to begin with. I'm probably going to be really, really bullish on Lacerda because I think he can take him down and submit him. And also we know that Oliveira is weak to the body, and what was his training camp like? But you're going to have to pay attention the half hour before the show, and we still may not get news on it. So I would probably have batches of lineups with Lacerda and Oliveira, even if you wanted to do that, and then a batch without. And then literally right up until the bell, I would pick which lineups I'm going to go with based on the news that we get delivered to us. And I'm sure that you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one advantage from a DFS perspective is that it is the scheduled first fight of the night. And so you talked about, lock time. It may have changed, but it initially was 4 p.m. because of losing the Walker-Usman fight. It could get pushed back to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. But the fact is, Oliveira's likely getting to the arena 2+ hours before he is scheduled to get in there. That's when he's going to weigh in. I think the scary part about that is likely doing a second weight cut to make sure he's under 155 pounds. If he weighed at 144, the question has got to be is, was the weight cut just cut off at some point and they just said, screw it. There was an article last week, Macy Chiasson missed weight, which was an issue we knew going into it. And Yana Santos did a interview where basically she said she felt forced into taking the fight. So this is kind of a little bit interesting, especially when you talk about Lacerda weighing in at 136 pounds. Potentially, could have a massive weight difference there. Mentioned about Walter Walker, Mo Usman. If people did not see, Walter Walker did weigh in today, and he made sure to let people know he don't give a crap about Muhammad Usman at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he made some deal about getting his show money in order to weigh in, or just did it for a statement. But regardless, I was looking forward to seeing him back in the cage. I think that he's pretty damn exciting. And clearly he hates Mo Usman.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the role he's been on, he was definitely going to be someone that I was going to be targeting for GPPs. Now, when we talk about game theory from a DFS aspect on this one, yeah, Pete, I think it really just starts at the main event. And when I initially saw the betting lines for this one, I was like, that's interesting. And you look at the betting odds and then compare it over to what we have over on DraftKings. I mean, this is essentially a pick'em at the end of the day. I mean, minus 115 for Oliveira, minus 110 for Gamrot. But on DK, it's a little bit of a different story here, Pete, of Gamrot at 8,400, Oliveira at 7,800. And I know I'm going to prioritize this matchup just because of the volatility we know that is there for Charles Oliveira. Now, look, do not obviously look at Gamrot as a power puncher, but we know what he can do from a takedown aspect. But, to me, as you're developing majority of your lineups, I think it's got to start with who you picking in the main event.
Yeah, it has to. I don't see how this main event doesn't make it into the optimal lineup. I mean, we know that Gamrot's pace is ridiculous, and he has the highest pace on the entire slate. The way that he chains ridiculous amount of takedowns. I mean, he can do like a Marab type of approach of just really shooting relentlessly. He trains at one of the best gyms in the world at American Top Team. So he's going to be wise to Oliveira's submission attacks. And, on the flip side, Oliveira definitely is the better striker of the two, is coming off a knockout loss just about 3 months ago. So I don't like that. The good thing, though, is that Gamrot is not a power puncher necessarily. So it's not like he's going up there against Justin Gaethje or anything where his chin is going to get tested. This is more of a ground fight. But Gamrot still can hurt him. You know what I mean? Because we don't know how that chin is at this point 3 months after the Topuria defeat. So regardless, I mean, if you think the fight stays, largely on the feet, you're probably favoring Oliveira. Whether to hurt Gamrot and pick up a submission or knock him out. And the longer the fight goes, Gamrot really for DFS, he definitely is the better DFS play because of, DraftKings scoring system favoring the wrestlers.
And you talk about a much different stylistic matchup for Charles Oliveira with the opponent change. If people are not aware, he was supposed to take on Rafael Fiziev in this spot. Fiziev pulls out due to a knee injury. Of course, we know he's had the issues with the knee injuries there. When I look at the rest of them, there is one fight that really sticks out to me, and it could be a very much a boom-bust play on either side of it. And it has to deal with our second most expensive fighter in Joel Alvarez, moving up to 170 to take on the vet in Vicente Luque. I almost feel like this is a fight that you got to sit there and say, you know what, man, I might need to get either one on the side in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you said that. And Jason and I don't talk pre-show about our picks, so we're kind of just off the hip reacting. Just to each other's picks or how we feel about fights. And I would agree with you. I mean, to be a plus 400 underdog in Vicente Luque when you have been the gatekeeper of the welterweight division for a very long time, against a guy that is a very hot prospect in Joel Alvarez, but he's moving up a weight class from lightweight to welterweight. And his first fight at welterweight, he's a minus 535 favorite, priced at 9,500. I think that is ridiculous. And I think that people are drawing parallels between what Kevin Holland did to Vicente Luque and thinking that Joel Alvarez is going to do the same. Now, granted, he has the style and the finishing ability to create big problems for Vicente Luque. But, just because he's big enough to fight at welterweight does not mean he's going to have the same success at welterweight. So for me, it's like, what have you done within the weight class? He hasn't done shit. So I think it's wide. I think the line is crazy wide, but this is a priority fight for me. Whether I'm getting to Alvarez or to Vicente Luque, I think that one way or another we're going to need it.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, your book has a much better number on Joel Alvarez than my book has. At Hard Rock, he's minus 650 right now.
That's ridiculous. That's
yeah, I know. You saw that one. Some other game theory thoughts I have. The heavyweight matchup between Diniz and Pinto, probably a fight that, I mean, look, you're not going to feel good rostering either guys just because of the level of action that it is in the UFC heavyweight division. But I think that's a fight that you got to look at. The other one, and we'll talk more about this fight a little bit later on, Michael Aswell. You look at him at 8,600, but the thing that sticks out to you, and we'll talk about this a bit more, is his strikes landed per minute, 9.10.
Yeah.
In two UFC fights where his first UFC fight landed 184 strikes and 118 in the second one in 3-round fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Aswell is a great pick for volume. According to my pace metric, he has the second highest pace on the slate. Granted, it's small sample size, right? But it's still his style. He goes out there and he volume strikes, and he can go to the wrestling. I did see some videos in the past of him working with Kevin Holland, oddly enough, who's a welterweight. So we know that Almeida has really, really subpar take down the fence and likes to be on his back a little too often. But yeah, I think from a pace standpoint, as well as a fantastic value at 8,600 for somebody who's going to go out there and put numbers up. And then to kind of just piggyback after what you mentioned about Jhonata Diniz and Mario Pinto, we have an underdog at 7,900 in Jhonata Diniz, who is actually the favorite in the matchup, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. So at 7,900 Diniz, he is actually the minus 140 favorite. So granted, that matchup's going to attract a lot of chalk because, granted, he is the favorite in the matchup and he's priced as the underdog. So excited to see where your picks are and if we are aligned or if we are a little bit different from each other.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at some other ones that I'll say one note to mention before we kind of start getting into breaking these ones down. We got a Fighting Nerds product. Are people down on the Fighting Nerds or are they not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not down on the Fighting Nerds. I mean, eventually they were going to lose, right?
Yeah, you can't go undefeated. I mean, it's just right. We know that.
Now is Mesquita the Fighting Nerds product? Or
no,
are we talking about somebody else?
I'm talking about Ricardo Ramos.
Okay, good, because that's who I was talking about too. Because I'm not sure where Mesquita is from, but yeah, Ricardo Ramos, a guy.
Yeah, she's not on the Fighting Nerds. I know that.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I was watching some of her LFA tape, but Ramos, a guy who notoriously untrustworthy, but I really like him this week, I think, and can't wait to see if you agree with me.
Samuel, I do appreciate your super chat there. Ask about the highest leverage at each salary. We'll get to that at the end of the show. We get into the listener questions, but Sam, as always, we do appreciate those super chat. Let's get right into it. The main event is Charles Oliveira taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Of course, Gamrot stepping up here on relatively short notice, replacing Rafael Fiziev, who pulled out of the fight due to an injury. He is priced at $8,400 on DraftKings, $17 on FanDuel. He's minus 110 on the betting lines. For Charles Oliveira, he's priced at $7,800 on DK, $16 on FanDuel, on minus 115 betting favorite. Pete, we could talk about, do we believe in the Charles Oliveira chin? That has been the issue here. But one thing is, here's what I really don't like about Charles Oliveira. He's already talking retirement leading into this matchup, talking about how he wants to fight Max Holloway for the BMF title, and that's what he wants to be his last fight. I never like when fighters start talking about this publicly.
Yeah, and you don't. I heard somebody else say that he wasn't talking about it and he didn't mention it. But when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it is a little bit difficult to ignore it, right? Charles Oliveira has been one of the best fighters ever and one of the best come from behind underdog stories. A guy that quit a lot throughout his career, kind of was forged in the fire, if you will, and developed some real toughness just by fighting high-level competition. And then a switch flipped. And next thing you know, he's like Terminator, Charles Dubronx, Oliveira, and he's sleeping people and submitting them. And once he's developed his confidence, man, he is so, so damn dangerous. I love Charles Oliveira. I really do. I don't like the quick turnaround, right? Like, because three months fighting Rafael Fiziev against a very, very technical, powerful striker and preparing for that matchup to then be throwing to be thrown a curveball and having to fight Mateusz Gamrot, completely flip of styles, right? Like you have to really deal with pressure wrestlers, deal with setting up those wrestlers for knees and getting off your back, not playing jujitsu. And I do think that Charles Oliveira might be in a tough spot here because he's going to be so comfortable off of his back, throwing up relentless submissions one after the other. I can see a world, and I really think like the odds reflect how close this fight is, of him submitting Mateusz Gamrot off of his back. I can see a triangle. I can see Gamrot like just leaving himself open. But Gamrot's grappling is phenomenal, mainly his wrestling, but over the years training at American Top Team, he's with some of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts on the planet. And I think we've really seen him complete his ground game so that he can stay safe in a matchup against Charles Oliveira. As long as his fight's on the feet, though, I hate it. I hate it for Mateusz Gamrot. I really do, because the knees up the middle for Charles Oliveira, the punch combinations, just the Muay Thai, Gamrot's going to be at a significant striking disadvantage. But the threat of the takedown can make Charles Oliveira a little hesitant. He's a little worried about the takedown, so he's not pulling the trigger. Maybe when he pulls the trigger, Gamrot slams into the mat, puts him on his back, ground and pounds him a little bit. So now you got Oliveira the next round, just a little gun shy. So this is a guy in Gamrot who's got like the Merab Dvalishvili type of style, and it's one of the best styles in the world, if not the best style. And he's tough. He's been hurt. He's been dropped. But I will tell you, he doesn't quit. And a guy that doesn't quit and is so focused on being prepared for every MMA fight, living and training at American Top Team for his camps, he's going to attempt 20 takedowns if this goes 25 minutes. And because of Charles Oliveira's, grappling style of how he's comfortable off of his back, yes, he could end it in an instant with an armbar, with a triangle choke, omoplata to sweep him to get on top. Like, I could see many different variations in ways that this can go. I think ultimately in an MMA fight you're losing, and Gamrot can land some ground and pound to him, but mainly just mat returns and just take the gas out of him. And that's why I'm going to pick Gamrot. It's not like a flag plant of a pick, because I love Charles Oliveira, and I can see it going the other way. But I think that Gamrot's going to do enough to stay busier than Charles Oliveira, to not get knocked out, have good control time, top time, and be wise to all the submission attacks. So give me Mateusz Gamrot here at 8,400 as a priority play, but I'm going to have one of these guys in every single lineup. You have to.
No, I'm with you there in terms of that one as well. I mean, when you look at Gamrot and just the amount of takedowns he's gotten throughout, but clearly the big concern would be about, could he potentially get caught in something by Charles Oliveira? Mm-hmm. And from a betting perspective, the Gamrot to wins via decision plus 325 is probably the prop that sticks out to me the most. But if I was probably going to play a bet on Charles Oliveira, I wouldn't chase the plus 300 wins by sub. I might just go the plus 145 wins inside the distance.
Yeah, I like that. The ITD makes so much sense.
Even though Gamrot has proven to be a guy very tough to finish here, but I just think from a DFS perspective, like, I want to get to more of Gamrot than I do of Charles Oliveira in this one, and no surprising the fact that both these guys are getting very decent amount of ownership over there. By the way, talking about some key stats for this one, if you want to get access to everything that Pete does offer on his Patreon page, the link to that Patreon page is below. Pete, let everyone know what they can get over there at Patreon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I try to include some projections for the matchup, the career win percentage of each fighter, my pace metric, which really takes the sum of everybody's output to develop a pace metric, the pace of the fight, which combines both fighters, so that is this going to be a high-scoring matchup? Should this be one that I'm going to target? Is it going to be a dud? Is it going to be a staring contest? Also have some strength of schedule on there between fighters' last 5 wins, strength of schedule within their last 5 fights, striking ratio. So what's the ratio of me hitting them to getting hit? What's the striking differential? How many strikes is a fighter landing per minute? How many are they absorbing per minute? Getting the difference of that. So just a little bit of data to kind of go and give some context to some projections, but also to give some context to what we're doing and what we're talking about in addition to the fight film. And you know me that I have fight film at the top of my list of how I like to predict fights. But stats can definitely help you, like especially in the takedown department. When I see a fighter's how much they are attempting, right? Like for instance, Montel Jackson, 3.24 takedowns per 15 minutes, 62% accuracy means that he's going to be attempting 5.22. So you know what I mean? Like little stats can give some insight into matchups. So that's all available on my Patreon, and I appreciate everybody that really likes it. Some people, it may not be necessary, but if you're looking for a little bit more data, definitely click on the Patreon, and thank you.
And speaking of Montel Jackson, he's in the co-main event here. He is a substantial favorite here against the former flyweight champion Deiveson Figueiredo. Of course, Figueiredo been back up at 135 for a little bit of time now. Montel Jackson priced at $9,000 on DraftKings, $19 on FanDuel, minus 325 on the money line. Figueiredo priced at $7,200 on DK, $11 on FanDuel. He is at plus 240. And when you talk about some of those, I know, metrics that you're going to have over at Patreon, the fact that Montel Jackson has a 7-inch reach advantage. He wears double XL gloves, which is just insane when you're talking about a bantamweight fighter. And the one stat that I made sure I wanted to look at, because you just mentioned about what Montel Jackson do from the takedown aspect, is I was like, I got to go look at Figgy and his takedown defense, which is 58%, Pete.
Yeah, so when you have 5.22 takedowns attempted per 15 minutes going up against Figgy's 58% takedown defense rating, he's probably going to land about 2 takedowns in the fight. But on the flip side, I don't know if he's going to want to be in that world against Figueiredo, because I think Figueiredo is going to be the fighter who's shooting for his life. And on the flip side, we have Figueiredo with a takedown per 15 minutes sitting at 1.69. At 35% accuracy, which is 4.82 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Montel Jackson has been taken down in the past. I mean, JP Bays is a guy that took him down with a nice outside trip. So I can totally see Figueiredo looking to get to a body lock, looking to trip him, looking to really negate the power. Because Montel Jackson, his hands, when he hits you, it's like getting hit with a toaster. So I think that in this matchup, the odds are a little wide, right? Jackson's on the way up, and he hasn't fought a previous champion like Figueiredo. Figueiredo is looking to reclaim championship status. This is a tough fight for both fighters, and this is one where I can see it going back and forth. But ultimately, the younger guy with 12 inches in height plus reach advantage in Montel Jackson should be able to come through. And that's what I'm going to predict, is that he's going to come through in a very tough fight. He could knock out Figueiredo, because we have seen Figueiredo quit at times a little bit, but mainly to the body or mainly later in a fight. This is a 3-round fight. So I think Figueiredo is going to be just fine. And this is one where they can be going back and forth with wrestling exchanges, big power shots on the feet from Montel Jackson. And we have seen Montel Jackson slow down too if the fight does get extended. So I am going to lean in Montel Jackson's direction, because I think that he's going to be able to get it done. But when I'm looking at 7,200 next to Figueiredo, who's done more in his UFC career than Montel Jackson has, it's like, okay, don't ignore Figueiredo, because I do think that he can pull off the upset, but it's not going to be easy. I think the big difference is the left hand of Montel Jackson, the power, the youth, the athleticism. So I'm going to pick Montel Jackson, but this is one where I wouldn't be like completely flag planting one person and ignoring the other, because if JP Bays, who's a very good wrestler and grappler, is taking you down, Figueiredo is significantly more. And I think that Figueiredo is sneaky to leg lock people too, right? Like, I mean, he has great heel hook entries, great just submission attacks in general. And like that's an area where Montel Jackson, I think, might be a little green compared to Figueiredo. So we just need to see a little bit more, see Jackson get tested a little bit more, and I think he passes this test. So give me Montel Jackson here at 9,000, but I truthfully I like some other options north and south of the 9,000 price tag.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's more about, in terms of rostering Montel Jackson, it's more about the price point. I feel like if you're going to roster Montel Jackson in a spot, I think it's almost more of saying, Deiveson Figueiredo, this is the tail end of his run. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the UFC for some time now, but it's like even, one the comments in YouTube, Figgy at 7,200. Yeah, I mean, it's very, I would say this, and we're about to talk about him here momentarily. I might rather get to a 6,700 Vicente Luque than I would a 7,200 Deiveson Figueiredo. That's just kind of my thought there. And speaking of Vicente Luque taking on Joel Alvarez, Alvarez moving up to 170 pounds after a stint at 155. He's priced at 9,500 DK, $23 on FanDuel. My book, he is a minus 650 betting fair. No, Pete mentioned that he's seeing him in the minus 530 range for him. Vicente Luque priced at 6,700 DK, $9 on FanDuel. He is at plus 450. And this is one of these ones that, Pete, I just feel like this is a fight you have to have circles going, you know what, I'm probably got to get to either one of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 535 for Alvarez, plus 400 for Luque, 9,500 for Alvarez, 6,700 for Vicente Luque. I mean, Alvarez has the frame, the build, and everything. He looks like a welterweight. We've been saying he's a true welterweight. Yes, absolutely. But he has had zero success at this weight class. He has never been hit by welterweights in the UFC. He's never been grappled or wrestled by welterweights in the UFC. His takedown defense is not good. His takedown defense sits at 40%. So this is a situation where, like, I've seen Vicente Luque in there with some good fighters and wrestlers, and he's a smart fighter. He can literally just pin Alvarez against the cage. Frames are similar. Alvarez does have 6 inches in the height and reach department. But like, because he's so in love with jiu-jitsu and playing jiu-jitsu off of his back, this is a world where, like, I think Vicente Luque's got the better wrestling. I really do. Not to mention, like, overall striking, I think that Vicente Luque is comparable. Like, I think it's very close. The durability clearly favors Joel Alvarez because, like, we have question marks about Vicente Luque. Thought that he could be one of the fighters retiring from the sport several years ago when he had that issue within his brain. So, like, this is a guy who's really overcome a ton of odds to still be competing in the octagon. But, like, his skills are there. And if you do not finish him, who's the better 15-minute fighter? I think the better 15-minute fighter is Vicente Luque. So, like, if you're betting Joel Alvarez, I think you're thinking inside the distance. It happens quick. Before Luque even gets warm, the fight's over. And I can totally see that, and I respect that. And that's why, regardless, I'm going to smash this fight. I'm not going to, like, lock in Vicente Luque, but I think that this fight is going to deliver from a DFS standpoint. But if Alvarez does not find a knockout blow, he is not Kevin Holland. So, like, Kevin Holland has very good striking, and that's why he was able to submit Vicente Luque, is because he hurt him and dropped him. He's similar, but he's not a welterweight. So until I see a welterweight do it to Vicente, until I see Joel Alvarez do something spectacular within the welterweight division, I'm just going to say it's a little wide. The odds are a little disrespectful. Minus 300, sure. Minus 535, I don't know, man. I don't know. I still think the skills are there for Vicente Luque, who trains at one of the best gyms in the world down there in Florida. I almost said Sanford MMA, Killcliff FC, and has been really honing his jiu-jitsu skills as well. Like, he's been working a lot with Rainer de Ritter, Gilbert Burns, multiple fighters down there. I think it's Wagner Rocha's jiu-jitsu gym, if I'm not mistaken. It's somebody's jiu-jitsu gym down there. So they've been really embracing the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, in addition to all the Killcliff FC MMA fight teams. So, yeah, I mean, if I look like a fool, I don't care, because I know exposure-wise I'm going to be set up correctly. But, Jason, give me Vicente Luque. Give me Vicente Luque here, 6,700. I'm just going to straight up pick him because I don't agree with the odds, and that's what it is. I think the value's there.
Yeah, to me, that's when I saw what the DraftKings line was. I go, man, it's a value play. I mean, and the question is well, Alvarez, I think, has the frame at 170. We haven't seen him at 170. So what's that going to be like? Could this be a sneaky Vicente Luque? Just, I'm trying to remember the fight where Luque, I want to say it was an underdog, and he went out there and he just laced up his wrestling shoes and just, I want to say he was a massive underdog in that fight too. I can't recall the fight off the top of my head, but to me, Luque, and I was actually surprised his ownership is not a little bit more than what it is there. And on the betting side, I'm not chasing. Yeah, I'm not chasing props on that one. I would just play the money line on Vicente Luque. No reason to chase the props. Just play the money line if you want to go in that manner. But the one thing that is interesting, Joel Alvarez inside the distance, minus 260.
I mean, that's his win equity, in my opinion, right? Like, that's how he's going to win. But yeah, Vicente Luque was a slight underdog against Jafel dos Anjos, and I had similar concerns because, RDAs kind of flip-flop between lightweight and welterweight. And Vicente Luque had 8 takedowns in 12 minutes of control time in a 25-minute fight.
By the way, I can't blame you for forgetting on what the name of that gym is down there in outside of Miami, because it's been through, good Lord, how many names that's I want to say it started what was it, JUCO Training Center, I believe was the first name. Yep. Then it went to Black Zillions.
Jocko, right?
Jocko, because that was Glenn Robinson's company, and Glenn Robinson funded this team. Then it went to the Black Zillions. Was Sanford next? I
think. Wasn't there a combat club in between there?
Oh, yeah. I want to say it went to Sanford because it was a naming rights deal for a company out of North Dakota. The combat club. Yeah, that was one of them. Now we're at 5 names in like 15 years.
Hey, I mean, it's kind of smart, right? Like if they just get a new sponsor every X amount of years, like we're the Coca-Cola fight team. And then
you know what? I'm surprised we have not seen more of that in the big gyms.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what Dan Lambert could get for the naming rights for American Top Team?
He could pull anything. The McDonald's fight team. I mean, really, he could do anything he wants.
American Top Team presented by.
Yeah, imagine, and they have their own little sponsors on their own gear.
But it'd be so
more and more like. I mean, it's like NASCAR. I mean, I don't blame people. I would do it.
Dude, every time I watch a UFC event, I'm just like, it always goes back to that line. Dan's like, I don't want my fires looking like a NASCAR. I'm like, do we look at this, Matt? There is not a place you could put another advertisement in.
People slipping all over the logos.
Yeah, I absolutely get it, though. Next up, we got Jonathan Diniz taking on Mario Pinto. Jonathan Diniz, while he's the betting favorite in this one, minus 135, he's priced at $7,900 DK, $15 on FanDuel. Pinto priced at $8,300 DK and $14 on FanDuel. Pete, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Like, I think you got to circle this fight for GPPs. I think someone's getting knocked out, but it's lower level UFC heavyweight action.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is lower level. I mean, I don't know if somebody's going to necessarily get knocked out because I can see this being a back and forth kickboxing match. Jhonata Diniz priced at 7,900 as a minus 140 favorite. He's going to have a ton of chalk ownership attached to him, and I think rightfully so. He is the glory kickboxer. He is the good kickboxer. And Pinto is a guy that just put up volume one time and looked really good on Dan White's Contender Series. But outside of that, in his UFC debut, he was getting outstruck by Austin Lane. And I remember sitting there scratching my head going, oh my God, I cannot believe I picked Pinto because Austin Lane is putting on a clinic. Let me just tell you that Jhonata Diniz is not Austin Lane. And on the Contender Series, to correct myself, Pinto looked good. He put up, quick volume. It only lasted a minute and 30 seconds, and he knocked them out, and he knocked them down, knocked them out. I mean, Pinto does have hands, and he does have power, and this is a weight class that is, notorious for finishes. So I could see why people are going to smash exposure one way or another to this fight. I mean, I just have question marks about Pinto, truthfully. I don't think that, Jhonata Diniz is any good, but I think this is stylistically a matchup where it's like, okay, it's fine for him. This is a kickboxing matchup. I don't have to worry about him being on his back necessarily. I mean, if Pinto goes out there and wrestles, that would be very smart. He is undefeated, and I don't necessarily know if he's like with the greatest camp, but Jhonata Diniz has gone out there and shown that he can, win UFC fights. He's won 3 of them. He beat Austin Lane in the second round. He beat Carl Williams when Carl Williams should have shot takedowns relentlessly, and then most recently he did beat Alvin Hines via decision. So this is one where I'm going to pick Jhonata Diniz because I believe in his kickboxing more than I believe in Pinto's from the small sample size and undefeated guy. I think that he's a little untested in certain areas, and Austin Lane kind of showed us that a little bit. Granted, he could come out here and just completely smoke Jhonata Diniz, and I'd be impressed. But the type of fighters that beat Jhonata Diniz are ones that threaten takedowns, ones that can take him down and get on top of him, submit him, ground and pound him. I haven't seen Pinto really want to do that, from his Contender Series or his UFC fight. But me, regardless, in their camp, I would be saying, "Hey, Pinto, we're gonna try to take this guy down." I mean, he's a completely different fighter off of his back. So give me Diniz, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pinto threw a wrench in the game plan.
Lace up them wrestling shoes. That is
What I
about the
would
best way to put it. But like Diniz is someone that I look at just from that price point, 7,900. You mentioned about the kickboxing background. He is someone that I definitely want to get to in terms of that one. Next up, we got Ramos taking on Ofli. Of course, we mentioned about Ricardo Ramos training at the Fighting Nerds. He's priced at $800 on DK, $18 on FanDuel. He's a minus 185 betting favorite. Kaan Ofli priced at $7,400 DK, $12 on FanDuel. He's a plus 150 betting underdog. And, just because of, I think, the way some things have played out with the Fighting Nerds over the past month or so, I think there's going to be people down on Ricardo Ramos. But you made a great point earlier. This is a guy that has kind of been tough to trust here over the past couple fights.
Yeah, I mean, Ricardo Ramos is a guy that you don't need anything else going against us. And, when you're picking Ricardo Ramos, because he tends to blow it for himself, priced at minus 200 as a 8,800 fighter over Kaan Ofli, who's plus 165, 7,400. This is a situation where I do think that Ricardo Ramos can win in multiple ways. Kaan Ofli on the Ultimate Fighter, very tough, gritty guy. But I think that Ramos is live to take him down and submit him. I also think that he's live to knock him out. And Ramos is super tricky. So very, very tricky. And working with the Fighting Nerds, I think is only going to improve his shape. One where we've noticed he's been out of shape at times. What's his will like? Does he want to be there? What's his drive, his determination? What's his confidence like? And Ramos has been a quitter at times. I don't see Kaan Ofli being a guy that's going to make him quit, though. I think that Ricardo Ramos, if they tie up, I think he could surprise people with his takedowns. His takedown per 15 minutes sit at 2.57, 57% accuracy is 4.5 attempted, and Kaan Ofli was taken down twice previously, so he has a 0% takedown defense rating. I'm sure it's better than that, but I think a tricky submission would really make Ramos one of the best plays on the slate. I also think that a slick knockout, whether it's a spinning elbow or a knee or something tricky, I just don't want him going out there and doing some stupid ineffective kicks like he does, like this backwards kick to the guy's calf. Like it's pointless. Go out there and be efficient. And I think that Ricardo Ramos, under the correct tutelage, can be really good. And I think that he should shine in a matchup like this. He might be my favorite play on the slate, and I don't trust this guy. So for me to say that, it's just like embrace the volatility, because recency bias of people being down on Fighting Nerds. If he's coming in with no ownership, I'm going to get to a lot of it. And regardless, at 8,800, I just think it's a matchup. He's definitely the better striker. If Ofli starts to grapple him, which he probably will, then I think that Ramos can be very slick with his submissions. And also, he can wrestle too. So I think that Ramos is in a good spot here, 2 years younger, 8 inches in a height plus reach department. And at 8,800, it's not going to break the bank in order to put him in part of your lineup. So give me Ricardo Ramos here.
Yeah, I think when you start looking at that low 9K, the high 8K range, he is someone that definitely sticks out to you just because of, Samuel's question, which we'll get to later, that leverage situation. He could be one of those guys you look at and say, hey, maybe not enough of the field is getting to him. That maybe gives you a little bit of angle in terms of that. Next up, we got Lucas Almeida taking on Michael Aswell. Aswell priced at $8,600 DK, $17 on FanDuel. He's a minus 160 betting favorite. Almeida, price is $7,600, $13 on FanDuel. He's a plus 130 betting underdog. And the thing that I've already mentioned about Michael Aswell, and it's going to stick out to you when you go over to UFCstats.com, he's had 2 UFC fights. He has landed 9.10 strikes per minute. In his first fight, he landed 184, and in his last fight, Pete, he landed 118.
Yeah, I mean, Aswell is a volume machine. And I like what he brings to the table. I mean, whether it's from the Contender Series, as you mentioned, and the UFC. I mean, against Balagioki, not a good matchup at all. And he went out there and he put it on him. And it was a back and forth fight. And I was very impressed and very happy with my value play in Aswell at 6,800. I mean, he scored 47.2 in a loss, and because of the 118 significant strikes landed. Here he is against a guy in Lucas Almeida. I'm not good. I'm not big on this guy at all. Like I haven't been, and if he wins, it's kind of like I'm okay with it because I just don't trust the guy. Also, he looked good in the Michael Trezano fight. Got absolutely dominated on the ground against Pat Sabatini. Got knocked out against Andre Fili. Andre Fili doesn't really knock people out. Won against Timmy Kawamba. Timmy Kawamba just wasn't aggressive. Also a little small for the division. And then recently against Silva, like, I don't know, he's just so one-dimensional, and I just don't view him as like excellent in the Muay Thai. He's somewhat of a big frame fighter, 5 inches in the height plus reach department against Aswell, but Aswell is 9 years younger. The pace metric has Aswell at 8.27, Almeida at 5.07, so significantly different. And then when we're looking at the significant strikes landed per minute, 9.1 for Aswell, 4.94 for Almeida. I mean, both these guys, have been absorbing a decent amount of shots. So they both have, poor striking differentials, if you will. But I just think the volume might break Lucas Almeida. And if you're betting on Almeida, you're hoping that he lands a big shot. Because I don't see how he wins a 15-minute fight against Aswell. I truthfully don't. And also, I know that Aswell can land takedowns, whereas Almeida's ground game is bad. I know he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt technically, but like not all black belts are created equal. And I think that Aswell's in a very good spot. And when he's going up against somebody I don't trust, it's hard for me not to pick him. So give me 8,600 Aswell.
Yeah, I mean, the volume, what sticks out to me, I'm actually kind of surprised the Almeida ownership is not lower than what is currently projected. And because this is a 3-round fight, you fully expect that Michael Aswell is going to be 100-plus strikes landed in this matchup. So he is one of those ones I definitely want to target there in that high 8,000 range. Next up, we got Filho taking on Carpenter. This will be your A200, 8,000 matchup, where Filho is priced at 8,000, 14 on FanDuel. He's a plus 100 betting underdog. Carpenter, he's priced at A200 on DK, $16 on FanDuel. He is at minus 125. And Pete, the one stat that sticks out to me on this one is the strikes landed per minute, where Filho 1.92 versus 3.91 for Carpenter.
I mean, there's people watching at home that throw more than 1.92 strikes landed per minute, just watching the fights. I mean, I don't understand what Filho is doing half the time. Predominantly, he likes to grapple, right? Like 2.45 takedowns per 15 minutes. But we saw in his most recent one where, like, I was backing him. He quit. He quit. And he was broken in that fight, and he was doing really well. So I'm out on Jafel Filho. I really am, because against Nascimento, I thought that he had it. He had 14 significant strikes, 4 takedowns, 6.5 minutes of control, and he gassed. And then when he was put in a bad spot, he just folded under the pressure. And Clayton Carpenter is a guy that I actually think is better, clearly on the feet and even on the mat. So he can either survive or he can threaten. And this is a situation where if I'm looking at the striking ratio of them, you have Clayton Carpenter with a better striking ratio at 1.42, whereas Filho's at 1.17. So, yeah, I mean, like you're talking about nearly double. Actually, is doubled. The volume that Filho throws, 3.91 for Carpenter, 1.92 for Filho. I mean, it's just like if it stays striking, I think that Clayton Carpenter is going to put more out there. Also, I trust the gas tank more of Clayton Carpenter. And it's just like I think that people they may not know how good Clayton Carpenter is. I mean, he lost to Garrett Ulanbekov and still did pretty solid in there, scoring 36. I think that this kid is really, really good. And this could be a perfect situation against a low volume fighter to go out there and show it. Defend the submission attacks, watch out for the big power of Filho, but outwork them. And I think that's what's going to happen. Clayton Carpenter is going to win a decision here, priced at 8,200. I like him a decent amount. Not the best fight for DFS scoring, in my opinion, because I think you're going to have Filho realizing that he's at a significant speed and volume disadvantage. So he's going to look to grapple early and often, which the stalling of it could really negate the scoring of both fighters. But I do think that Carpenter walks away with his hands raised. So give me Carpenter here.
Yeah, when you talk about the decision prop, really not a great prop on Carpenter, plus 180. Something I do want to mention, if you want to check out the video of this show, of course, along with it being on YouTube, also now on Spotify as well. If you happen to, if you listen to us on Spotify, we are uploading those videos to Spotify as well, so you can check out the show on Spotify. Of course, from the audio side, Apple Podcasts, iHeart is the best ways to check out this show. Next up, we've got Petrino taking on Petersen. Thomas Petersen comes here, price is $700 on DK, $11 on FanDuel, a plus 240 betting underdog. Victor Petrino, he's priced at $9,100 DK, $19 on FanDuel. He is a minus 325 betting favorite.
I don't get these odds either. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. Petrino's a guy that I think every time he fights, he has minus 300 attached to him. And he's a guy that I think he's shown that, like, he's powerful. He looks like he really looks like a superhero. He's a big muscular guy. He looks dangerous. He's pretty solid when it comes to power. His ground game is developing. I mean, I remember thinking that he was spectacular on the mat, and it was like only until the waning seconds of the fight for him to pick up a submission. I think it was against Marcin Prachnio in round 3. I mean, there were so many submissions available and even ground and pound. And it's just like, what's this guy doing? So for me, a guy that got guillotined in round 1 to Anthony Smith is always going to, like, do I trust this guy? Probably not. Getting knocked out against Dustin Jacoby. There's certain matchups where I think that he's going to shine. And that's where, like, the matchup 9,600 against Austin Lane made sense. A lot of people bet the KO. He ended up submitting him in round 1. I think that he is completely screwed when it comes to wrestling here. If he thinks that he can wrestle against Petersen, I think that he's in for a world of torture, because I think Thomas Petersen, as much as he doesn't look like a fighter, he's a grindy type of wrestler and a guy that's very, very suffocating with his pressure. So as evidence in his previous fight where against Dontel Mays, big power striker, right? Big power striker. Petrino's definitely younger and more dangerous, but Petersen went out there 9 takedowns, 13 and a half minutes of control time. And I don't think Petersen's all that bad on the feet. And anytime you're going up against a wrestler, you are tentative a little bit, right? To open up. Mm-hmm. And I think that if Petrino feels the strength of Petersen, or he ends up underneath Petersen in the rounds going forward, I think he's going to be like a little shook about not wanting to end up back there. So to me, these odds are really wide. In my head, I had 8,500 Petrino. I'd be fine with that. 9,100 minus 300. I just don't agree with it. And this week, what I'm doing is when I don't agree with something, I'm picking the value side. So I think the value on Petersen is significant. He's had some tough fights outside the UFC as well, and he has the wrestling advantage. Give me Petersen here at 7,100 to upset Vitor Petrino at 9,100.
I've just never been big on Thomas Petersen. It's one of those. I feel like for me, this is just me personally, I think I will either take Petrino or pass on the fight, Just
Really?
in terms of, I do wonder about Petersen. At the price point, I mean, look, even if he scores 65 points, you're still in a very good position at 7,100. But this may be one of those ones I might almost like from a betting side. I haven't looked to see what the over 1.5 rounds or even what over 2.5 rounds is. That might be something I might be a little bit interested in terms of that one. Next up, we've got the UFC debut of Mesquita as she takes on Irina. Mesquita, the most expensive fighter on this card. She's priced at $9,600, $22 on FanDuel, a minus 650 betting favorite. Kind of crazy for a UFC debut to be this big. Irina is priced at $6,600 on DK, $8 on FanDuel, and Pete, she's a plus 450 betting underdog.
Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on this one. I mean, I think that Mesquita is really good. Very physical, pretty big for the division, and excellent grappling. So, I mean, she doesn't waste too much time on the regional scene, going in there, shooting a takedown, looking to submit her opponents. And I think that Mesquita is in a good spot here because Alekseeva is a very volatile fighter and one that I just don't trust either, right? Like, she'll go for low percentage submissions, gives up positions, on the feet, very aggressive, but hands are down. And I think that Mesquita can, crack her on the feet too, back her up. And I'm not big on Alekseeva. Now, granted, this is a UFC debut, so you don't know how nerves are going to affect fighters. Certain fighters shine, and certain fighters kind of crumble under the pressure. And I think that Mesquita is going to be fine here. A lot of pressure regardless for a UFC debut, but this is a winnable matchup. So I'm not going to be an Alekseeva guy here at 6,600. I do think that Mesquita takes her down and submits her. It's just how quick does she do it? Does it happen in round one? Does it happen in round two? But at 9,600, you need a round one finish, or you need a ton of takedowns into an eventual finish. And, I don't know if it's going to be like more than one takedown, truthfully. I think it'll be one and done. So give me Mesquita here at 9,600.
And that submission prop from Mesquita minus 115. So not you probably that may be one of the things of maybe if your book offers inside the distance and under 1.5 rounds on that matchup, that may be if you can get any plus money on that aspect, but really tough to better in this aspect. Next up, we got Rocha taking on Nicolau plus 100 on the betting line, 7,700 DK, $14 on FanDuel. Rocha, he is priced at $8,500, $15 on FanDuel, and he's a slight betting favorite here at minus 120, Pete.
Yeah, not my favorite fight to target, to be honest, because I do think very, very small sample sizes for both of these fighters in Rocha and Nickel. But according to the stats that we have, five years younger is Rocha, 3 inches in the height and reach department for Nickel. The strikes landed per minute for Rocha sits at 2, whereas Nickel sits at 3.02. Both have absorbed a decent amount. I mean, but Nickel has a positive differential. So granted, it was a very fast fight, but I remember him having a ton of hype, and that fight kind of like really breaking the slate, like, oh my God, he really just lost that. And this is one where the takedowns should be for Nickel's game plan, right? I mean, because even small sample size, we have Nickel sitting there at 5.66 takedowns per 15 minutes, mainly because early on he got a quick takedown. But this is one where over 15 minutes, I would love to see how this works and how this looks. I mean, Rocha probably has the better striking of the two, just a little bit tentative because of the wrestling exchanges. But this is one where I do think that the underdog in Nickel is going to be my selection, because if volume happens, I think a lot of it's going to happen on the mat. And I do think that Nickel has the wrestling to make this happen. But a lot of unknowns for both fighters, to be honest. So 8,500, a little steep price tag, given the weight class. So I'd much rather go to Nickel at 7,700.
Then we move on to our second fight of the night, which is a Filho matchup. And, Pete, when I was starting my prep for this episode and this fight card, I was like, wow, we're at the point where Karolina Kowalkiewicz is the second fight of the night. We're talking about a fighter that used to be, she was, in the top 3, top 4 of this division, challenged for the title, and now she's a plus 400 betting underdog. Here, price at 6,800 DK, $9 on FanDuel. Julia, price at 9,400 DK, $21 on FanDuel. She's going to be the leverage spot in that 9,000 range. But the one thing about both these fighters is they throw with volume, 5.62 versus 5.54 and 5.54 being for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, high volume for both, right? I mean, this is one where if it goes 15 minutes and given the price tag of Karolina Kowalkiewicz, maybe just maybe, Jason, that a stack could work. It all is slate dependent, right? And you do need it to go 15 minutes, and you need Karolina Kowalkiewicz to not get knocked out. I mean, she is at a 12-year youth disadvantage because Pilastri is the younger, fresher fighter with the rest of her career. To kind of just, unfold, whereas Karolina Kowalkiewicz is at the final, if not the final fight. So I do think that this is one where, like, Pilastri clearly is the A side and clearly is the fighter we want to target, but the price tag of Karolina Kowalkiewicz, very, very cheap for a fighter that's tough, very cheap for a fighter that's a part of one of the best teams at American Top Team. Also, a fighter that can land takedowns, but this is predominantly going to be a kickboxing matchup. And I do think that the more efficient striker is clearly Julia Pilastri. But like if I'm looking at strikes attempted, the strikes attempted for Pilastri sits at 10.2, whereas Karolina Kowalkiewicz sits at 12.8. So, Karolina will be active, and she might even be more active. She just may not be efficient or accurate. So this is one where the stats could get boosted. I'll probably just make one fun lineup stacking it. But I think that Pilastri is clearly the pick. I don't really have a lot of I don't have a lot of reasons to get behind Karolina Kowalkiewicz other than experience, other than being a part of a great camp. But this is a fighter where we've seen her get hurt, we've seen her get damage cut up and lose rounds, and having a ton of fights in the UFC, and your striking accuracy sits at 43%, not good, and your takedown offense sits at 22% accuracy, not good. So the more efficient fighter is Pilastri, and she should do enough to get the victory.
Pilastri, by the way, the only fighter, as I look in my column for wins via decision prop, only fighter with a negative number next to her name.
Really?
Yeah, minus 190.
Well, yeah, credit to Carolina's toughness. So
yeah, I mean, I'll say this from a betting side. If you want to take a flyer on Carolina, just play the money line plus 400. I mean, yes, is she probably going to win by decision at plus 500? Yeah, that's probably like if she's going to win, but just take the plus 400. No reason, just in case you were to get a finish there. Then our first fight tonight, and we're going to see if this fight ultimately happens or not because of Oliveira missing weight, taking on Lacerda. Lacerda, price at 8,900 DK, $18 on FanDuel. He's a minus 280 betting favorite. Oliveira, price at 7,300 DK, $12 on FanDuel, plus 230. If you're watching us live and you missed the beginning of the show, Oliveira missed weight by 8 pounds, weighing in at 144 pounds, according to Guilherme Cruz at MMAfighting.com. He has been fined 50% of his purse, which probably is $12,000. His probably total purse was $12,000. So $6,000. He's lost $6,000. That's right at the scale there. If he's making $12,000. And he does have to weigh in tomorrow when he gets to the building. Can't weigh more than 155 pounds. And Pete, if you're not going to be around a computer anywhere around lock time, you're going to be scared to play this fight.
Yeah, if you're not around to switch your lineups out or substitute either Lacerda or Oliveira, don't play the fight. Just skip the fight, because we've seen this happen far too often where bad weight misses result in canceled fights. Bad weight misses result in doctors not clearing fighters the day of the event. And then we've also seen, like in this situation, where Oliveira could literally come in here at 160 pounds, break that rule that they came up together with, and the fight ends up getting scratched. So it all comes down to how bad does Oliveira want his money, right? Yep. Because at this point, it's a financial decision. So like 6,000, you want the 6,000? I don't have any reason to pick Oliveira in the fight. I think that he can be dangerous in Muay Thai, but if you look at volume, 2.67 strikes landed per minute, whereas Lacerda sits at 4.52. So already better output from Lacerda at about 10.3 strikes attempted per minute, whereas Oliveira sits at 6.6. And then when we're looking at the takedowns, right, very similar, 1.26 for Lacerda, 1.07 for Oliveira, but the better grappler is clearly Lacerda because the takedown defense department for Oliveira sits at 38%. So, I mean, if this goes 15 minutes, I can see Lacerda getting 3 takedowns. I could see him taking him down, beating him up, getting a decision, or eventually submitting him. So, the weight miss is clearly strategic and one where Oliveira is hoping to be a weight bully, but kind of went a little overboard with it and nearly got the fight canceled. But the good news, Jason, is that we talked about how it's the first fight of the night. So unlike other ones where we're kind of left in limbo and don't know because the fight kicks off at 6, but the card locked at 4, hopefully the fight goes through. This one's going to be right out the gate. So we should know and should get some indication of whether or not the fight's going to happen or not. So if the fight happens, man, I think Lacerda is one of my favorite plays on the whole slate. And I don't care that he's at a significant weight disadvantage. I just don't think that Oliveira is good. I really don't. And I'm just going to back Lacerda here at 8,900. But, I mean, I can't ignore it. When people have significant weight advantages, there's a reason there's weight classes. There is a reason there are weight classes. And sometimes it ends up resulting in a win. So, for me, I don't know. There's volatility surrounding Oliveira, and I just don't believe in him. So give me Lacerda.
And the other concern I have is the fact of he's going to have to cut weight for a second time. The odds are after he weighed at 144, hydrated up, and now, likely, depending, what time is he going to wake up tomorrow morning and probably start to cut weight to get down to 155 pounds. If you do have any questions for us, line those up in the chat right now or over in the Discord channel. Of course, be sure to check out that link in the description of this show if you're not a member of our Fight HQ community. Main event, I've been going back and forth on this one, Pete. I'm going to say Charles Oliveira, but I don't feel great about it.
Okay, I'm going to go Mateusz Gamrot.
Give me Montel Jackson in a close decision.
Montel Jackson.
I'm going to go underdog number 1, Vicente Luque.
I'm going Vicente Luque as well.
I'll go Diniz.
Diniz.
Ramos. Aswell.
Carpenter.
I'm going to say Petrino, but don't feel great about it.
I'm going to go Petersen.
Mesquita. I'll go Rocha.
I'm going to go Nickel.
I'll go Julia.
Yep, Julia Pilastri.
I'll go Luan Losardo. If the fight happens,
right? Yeah,
that's the big part of that equation there. Mention the question we got from Samuel a little bit earlier on in the show.
Thank you, Sam.
Asking about highest leverage of each salary. When you look at the 9,000 range, it is going to be Pilastri. She's coming in at under 20% ownership, but she does have the volume. I think that's the one thing that does stick out to you about her is the volume that she does have in terms of that one. So that to me is going to be the leverage in that spot. In the 8K range, there's 2 fighters to look at. That's Ricardo Ramos and Lucas Rocha. Ramos, I think, would be the guy I would look at in terms of that tier.
I love Ricardo Ramos. For me, I think that Pinto is probably going to be the best leverage personally. And the reason I could say that is he's priced as the favorite at 8,300 when in reality he is the underdog. So I think naturally people are going to just, why would they not go with Diniz,
Yeah. When you look in that 7K range, basically anyone under 7,400, Figueiredo would really be the guy there in that range. Basically anyone under 7,400 is going to be the leverage spot in the 7K range.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
And when you look in the 6K range, they're all leverages. I mean, at that point, but like if I was going to rank them, I think I go Vicente 1, Carolina 2, Irina 3.
Probably, yeah, I would probably agree with that. Yeah, you're right.
Let's get into some questions from Discord before we get back to the YouTube chat here. Value plays underneath 8K and a core 3 on DraftKings. Value plays under 8K. No particular order here. Diniz, Oliveira, and then I would put Figueiredo in there as a value play. You can
Charles
very easily,
Oliveira, right?
Yeah, I'm talking with Charles Oliveira. Yes.
Not your boy Simon.
No. He spent too much time at McDonald's apparently.
Yeah, he's doing something else.
Or going to a very good Brazilian steakhouse in Rio.
Yes, exactly.
That would be for me.
For values, I like Luque. I like Petersen. I like Nickel. And I don't mind Charles Oliveira because I think that fight's really close.
In terms of a core 3, this is where it becomes interesting for me. I think I put Gamrot in there because of the takedown upside.
Okay.
Just because can rack up a lot of points, a lot of control time. I'd put Aswell in there because of the volume that he has shown. And if I was going to go with the third one, I would go with I'd probably go with Mesquita.
All right. So for me, core 3, let's act like the first fight's going to happen. So I would go Lacerda. I would go Gamrot. And then I have it really close between Steven Petersen and Aswell. Granted, one's a favorite, one's an underdog, but those 3 are like ones where I really like getting to.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean, if you're looking across this entire slate,
all right, thank you.
Like there are a ton of value spots and ones where like if you are targeting the correct fights, Gamrot, Lacerda, Petersen / Aswell, and you make a stand, I really like Gamrot's going to have a ton of ownership. Yes. Lacerda, I'm interested to see what the ownership comes in tomorrow. But for me, Ricardo Ramos, I don't know why. I'm like flag planting Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah, I get you on that one. Next up, let's go over to Sam. He says, best top plays. So as I kind of look here, I'm looking at fights here more than anything else. I'm looking at the main event. I want to get there in terms of, I think Luque Alvarez is another fight you want to target. And I think the third fight I would target, I know you mentioned about this fight going decision, but I think this fight ends in stoppage, Diniz and Pinto.
I don't blame you. I feel like everybody's thinking that, and I could be the one wrong, but that's a good build.
Live dogs. Now we talk about this from a DraftKings salary perspective. Diniz, Oliveira. I think you have to throw Figgy in there just because of it is a good step up in competition for Montel Jackson.
Yeah, it is, and people I think are kind of overlooking that, and it is a big step up in competition for Joel Alvarez against the welterweight gatekeeper too, in Vicente Luque.
Best inside the distance fighters. I'm just going to go top to bottom. I'm going to throw Lacerda in there. Guy misses weight that bad. Going to have to likely cut weight a second time. I would throw him in there as somebody. And by the way, his inside the distance prop is minus 175.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. Please let the fight happen tomorrow.
Yeah, Lacerda, the inside distance minus 175. Sub plus 130, TKO KO plus 550. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Then kind of going up, I think you got to look at Mesquita as another one of a top inside distance, particularly via submission in terms of that one. Then I would look at Diniz or Pinto. Alvarez or Luque, probably more on the Alvarez side in terms of a stoppage in terms of that one. And then I'll probably have a bet on Charles Oliveira to win by inside the distance at plus 145.
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm picking Gamrot, I might just go 50-50 on the matchup because it's a hard fight, and it is in Rio. So.
Yeah. Sam, best decision odds fighters. Well, I mean, look, I think that when you look at where the betting public has it, I mean, I think the betting public feels like Montel Jackson's going to win by decision at plus 115, Michael Aswell at plus 145, Clayton Carpenter at plus 180, Julia Pastrali at minus 190. If I was looking for some, juicy numbers out there, I think Gamrot to win via decision plus 325 is the one that really sticks out to me.
I could see that. I just do worry about the chin of Charles Oliveira. Like, Gamrot's not going to knock him out necessarily, but what happens if he ground and pounds him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But in 25 minutes, for me, it's just so long fighting for things to go right. You know what I mean? Like, I like some of the other decision props a little bit better.
Mention about favorite parlays, and I will tell you, Sam, there's one that sticks out to me, and I just wanted to kind of see what what would be as a 3-fighter parlay. And so what I was looking at was Jonathan Diniz minus 135, Michael Aswell minus 160, and Clayton Carpenter at minus 125.
I like it.
So let me just pull it up here to see what the actual number on that would be. And I'm now seeing Diniz has been bet up to minus 145. So that gets you a plus 394.
It's not bad.
No, for a 3-fighter parlay.
Not at
And I've
all.
also, if you live in the state of Florida like I do, I've really learned this about the Hard Rock. When they offer up things related to the UFC, it's not till fight day. It's not.
Yeah.
They don't give you that bonus of maybe you making a bet earlier on in the week when you see a line you really do like and you don't want to lose that line.
Jason, quick question for you. What would you put probability of the first fight of the night happening at tomorrow? Like, if you've been in the game for a while, what do you honestly think? Do you think the fight's happening or no?
Less than 50% chance.
Yeah.
I mean, when a fighter misses weight by 8 pounds and now because clearly there was a negotiation aspect to this, and I'm sure it was the Lacerda camp that said, hey, we'll take this fight, but you can't weigh more than 155.
I think it's going to be off.
Yeah, I think history tells you the odds that fight actually happens is very unlikely. Top captains and MVPs. So just looking over at the ownership projections on FanDuel side of the equation, everyone's going to get to the main event. If you and Gamrot, because of what he can do from the takedown aspect, you totally get it. But like, I think if you're looking to get away from the field, I got a fighter. I don't know how well they score. If they get the submission, whether it's quick or later on the fight, how about Mesquita?
Yeah, I like it.
Just looking at someone who not getting that ownership, but yeah, to me, the main event, I'd also throw Michael Aswell in there. If that thing goes 15 minutes and he performs the way he's performed in his UFC tenure this far, I like that ability, what he can rack up in points there. Top pump plays, I think for me, it's 2 fighters. It's Vicente Luque or Deiveson Figueiredo. Maybe do you throw Thomas Petersen in there?
I like Thomas Petersen, truthfully. I don't think that I'm not a Petrino guy. So
Road to the Mansion Series 5.5.
it's a good number.
I do think that's a good number.
Let's say less.
I'll say less too. I think there's a lot of fights I think just got a high probability to go there. Let's go back over to YouTube for some questions that have come in there. One person said Joel inside the distance under 1.5. That is probably the best way to play that. If you're betting on that fight and you want to bet Joel Alvarez, it's probably the best way to go there. Nick Aston, stack the main event.
No.
I'm not against it though.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I just don't like stylistically. I see it one way or another.
But the problem is, it's also the ownership is so high on both fighters. Yeah. I could see if one of them was in that like 20 to 25% range, while the other one's at 40%. But if I was going to stack it, Nick, it'd be in cash. It wouldn't be in GPPs.
I'd rather stack the Pilastri and Kovacevic.
That's a great point there. How do we feel about over 2.5 rounds on the main event? I don't mind that.
What's the number at though? What is that at?
Let me pull it up here. I'll tell you.
It's all about numbers.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably juiced a little bit, but that's just let's see here. Over 2.5 rounds minus 155.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I mean, I
look, if I would, you know what? It's plus money over 3.5 rounds plus 105.
I'd rather I'd rather get some plus money out of it, but like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Marquise, I appreciate the super chat. He says, what is y'all's top 3 fighters to score finishes or produce a high DFS score for cash games? Thanks, guys, for the content and the insight. We're talking about cash games. God, I mean, I just look at what the potential, what Gamrot could do in terms of the grappling. The only concern I have is him getting caught in terms of that one.
Has to be Gamrot one.
Do you put Ricardo Ramos in that equation?
See, you have to have Gamrot because you know everybody else is going to have him too. And if he loses, you all lose together. But he has the highest ceiling on the slate. So it starts with him. Next, you said Ricardo Ramos. I like him. I just do. I don't think that Ofli's good.
I would say this when we look in that high 9,000 options, I'd feel more comfortable going to 9,600 Mesquita over the 9,500 Alvarez, even though Alvarez he could very well go out there and just style on him, and we see that 170 is where he needs to be. I feel more comfortable going to her in that aspect.
My only pushback is it's UFC debut, right?
Yeah.
So I do think Gamrot's 1. I think Ramos is probably 2 for me just because we've seen him do it. I don't want the co-main event. I don't want the heavyweight fight. Aswell still, hasn't really proven all that much. Yes, he has a ton of volume attached to him. I might go Palastri just because I know that Kovacevic is 12 years older. You know what I mean? And somewhat of a punching bag. And you know that Kovacevic has, what does she have? Let's look right here. 43% striking accuracy and 31% takedown, 22% takedown accuracy. So she may be swinging, but she's not landing.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely one to put in there. Samuel, appreciate your super chat. Forgot the Jason and Pete special. Mine's the first fight of the night, and I got to be around a computer and Twitter to know that fight's happening. But it is take Lacerda or move on. I'm not. I know there have been times in runs in UFC where fighters have missed weight and their record has been really good.
Yeah.
Missing weight by this much, the fine that's there, and also the fact of it's not just that, hey, he got fined 50% of purse. He's got to weigh in tomorrow too. That concerns me.
And he's cut. He's going to be cut. There's no questions asked. He's cut as soon as this fight's over. For me, Carpenter against Filho, I'm not really having a hard time with it. I believe in Carpenter as the prospect. I really do. And I just like the volume. I like everything about him a little bit more than Filho. So yeah, I'm fine with getting to Carpenter.
We'll end on this comment here where it says, very dogger pass card. Fade Mesquita as the newcomer to the big show. Go with Figgy. Leaving a lot of these fights alone. I understand. I will say this. I totally get where you're coming from, and I understand that there's fights that maybe you don't want to get to. But this could be a situation where Mesquita just comes in and just shows, why she belongs here. I mean, she's gotten to the UFC at an older age than, typically we see with UFC newcomers. But, to me, if she wins, I think she submits her. And probably underneath 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I actually think that she's quite legit. And it's about Mesquita, but it's more about Alekseeva too. I just don't think Alekseeva's good. I really don't. I think that Alekseeva might lose to somebody on the regional scene, legitimately a lower level on the regional scene. I don't think that Alekseeva's good. And a very dogger pass card, I would agree. I think the value in a lot of these odds are off. I think the odds are off in the Jackson Figueiredo fight. Odds significantly off in the Alvarez Luque fight. You see that the odds are weird in the heavyweight matchup. And then the odds in the Petrino and Petersen one make no damn sense to me either. So, I would imagine the odds in the Lacerda Oliveira, if the fight goes on, he ends at a minus 500 favorite.
Yeah. It's there. I will say this: there is definitely some on the betting side. I will tell you that the Carpenter line is a line that I really want to see, and it is something that, look, as I'm sitting on the couch tonight after work, I'm going to be looking at where are the line movements going. Do we see a little bit of an edge there, and start to look at what I may place a bets there. By the way, if you did not see the Contender Series from Tuesday night, go over to the UFC YouTube channel. Let's just you got two tough SOBs who just went back and forth, and massive cut on one of the guys' eyes was just a great one. By the way, one of Habib's guys was in the main event, got a win there. I will say this, I was talking about this yesterday on my show. When it comes to Contender Series, I'm really I'm in that mindset of I really don't know how good these fighters are, because I think some of them just have very questionable matchmaking going forward. When I was watching that main event, Magomed, who was Khabib's guy, mouth wide open the entire fight. I was just like, don't know about this one.
Yeah, and that's why when they get catapulted to true UFC matchups, we got to pick our shots. But yeah, Contender Series is great. I enjoy it. But I totally forgot that it was still going on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 more weeks left of it. By the way, if I don't know if there's a betting line out there, I'm going to look on Best Fight Odds. So CFFC has a card tonight here in Tampa. I'm not going to it. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Woo. $75 just for a GA ticket, by the way.
Crazy,
$175 for a reserve seat. Yeah.
Jesus.
But there is a guy on the card. His name's Christian Escolin. He's 2-0. He's out of Miami, which I'm not seeing it. But if your book has a line on it, he might be someone to pay attention to if he's got decent money. He's a 2-0 fighter out of Miami that I'm very familiar with. So that is going to do it for this episode of Fight HQ. As always, we appreciate everyone who tuned into the podcast, whether you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify, or listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or iHeartRadio. Of course, be sure to check out Pete's Patreon page. A link to that is in the description below. We'll have a DraftKings contest as well. And of course, if you're not in that Discord channel, be sure to jump in there, as everyone's always kind of talking about what's going on in this crazy world of combat sports. It is, it's. I'm never surprised by this. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see what the main event of the Fight Night card at the Apex is on November 1st?
No, I have no idea.
Steve Garcia versus David Onama.
Okay.
You didn't have to tell me he was at the Apex. I knew.
It's a good fight. That's not a main event.
No, I was driving to the office and it pops up on my phone, and I'm like, Steve Garcia, David Ramos. Oh, that's an Apex card. I'm just sitting there going,
Talk about a guy I haven't been high on, Steve Garcia, and he just keeps proving me wrong.
I know. Onama, who's been he goes in between Missouri and Colorado to prepare for fights. Yeah, I'll tell you this, the other crazy thing about this sport, the fact that Dan Hooker's in a #1 contender fight.
I know.
Take that one. Dan Hooker's in a #1. When I saw that come out, I was like, I know it's more about Arman. I get it. Arman's got to prove he can make it to fight night, be healthy, all that. But I'm like, is Justin Gaethje just gone? Did he take the walk out?
The title fight. He doesn't want to do any more Contender Series or #1 contender fights. He's like, dude, I've earned it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's going to do it for this episode of Fight HQ. We will talk to you next week, as we're going to get you ready for a fighter that Pete mentioned earlier on the show, Ritter. Fighting next week. That's up there in Vancouver against Brent now. Was initially supposed to be against Fluffy Hernandez, but Fluffy Hernandez pulled out a fight due to an injury. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode, and we will talk to you next week.